You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
What is up, everyone? Paul Apostolakis, Salvatore Kuzmano, Brad Weisgerber. We are Inside Real Estate. Welcome to another episode. For those of you that have found us, thank you for finding us. If this is your first time, sit back and relax and listen to the show. But if you want to see us live, go to Facebook.com/IRE podcast. You can go to YouTube. You can go to LinkedIn now. You can go to my Facebook page, Paul Apostolakis at Facebook. Or you can listen to us anywhere that you consume podcasts, because we're pretty much everywhere. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave us a review. That always does help us out quite a bit. So, guys, what is up? How are you?
Good morning.
Good, man.
Rates are shit.
Relatively.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, rates have gone up. Yeah, I mean, we're in the fives. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who we had locked him in at a 2.875. He's going through a divorce, and he's like, "What's rates going to be, dude?" And I'm like, "About 2% higher." And he's like, 2% higher? And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what happened." It's full 2% higher for him, man. So,
well, couldn't last forever. Not everything's for free.
Correct.
Right.
I saw an article today that someone with some authority on speaking finances or whatever was like, yeah, I mean, all these spoiled millennials are kind of to a degree, like, getting what they deserve, right? Like everything was handed out at such a low, they're dealing with scarcity now, and it's a good lesson.
Yeah, for sure. Today's guest is Dylan Tent. Dylan's been on the show before. He's an awesome agent. If you want to learn more about him, you can go to the past episodes and kind of, we've gone through his history and all that. Today, I think we're just going to talk about his feelings on the market. Dylan's always a great guest. So without further ado, Dylan, please come on the show, bro.
Well, welcome. Oh, thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show, man. Always a pleasure having you on. Today, I kind of just want to pick your brain and kind of talk to you about what you're feeling and seeing in the market, what you're doing to set yourself apart in this market. Because I think being a real estate agent right now is one of the toughest positions to be in. I mean, it's a hard job as it is, but it's gotten even harder with how scarce the inventory is and how many multiple offers there are. So I want to kind of get your feelings on what you're doing to navigate that. But first, let's start with your feelings on the market right now, man. What are you seeing out there right now?
It took until this week for me to get my first buyer under contract that wasn't vacant land. And just to put it into perspective, I sell about 45 homes a year. Half of them, I mean, I'm more centered on listings, but it still is frustrating to have really qualified people lose into bidding wars. I mean, there was a house that was 487. We offered 575 on it and lost it to 585 with a full appraisal waiver.
Wow.
How do you compete with that? And my person's like, listen, I'm already at $100,000 over asking price. We just can't. I can't do more than that. So that's been frustrating. I think a lot of parents are stepping in and helping kids, and then getting repaid on the back end down the line, which makes it really, really tough. I also read something that on average, there's about 2,500 or 3,000 homes for sale in Oakland County. And right now we're hovering around 800 to 900. And that's just that. I mean, I really think that it's artificial demand because there's nothing for sale. And I think if there was more for sale, it'd taper off a little bit. But right now it's just when there's 30 buyers for every house, this is just what you get. People get sick of it and they write a check.
Yeah, people are writing big checks, dude.
If they can,
If they can, they're writing big checks to go over ask or cash or waiving inspections, waiving appraisals, appraisal guarantees. It's like you need to throw everything at this stuff. It's crazy.
And I can only advise to a certain level of craziness. So
and you're pretty crazy, Dylan. So
yeah, and when people have to have a house, I'm like, listen, if you have to have a house, this is what we have to do. And if not, we can, I'll write 100 offers for somebody, even if I know we're going to lose. So,
well, it's so funny on my end. I feel like to see these PAs come in, I'm like, wow, nice, 350K, which, 3-4 years ago, 350K is like, that's a pretty decent, especially for a first home, right? I mean, you're getting a nice, typically turnkey house, right? And now I see, 350K, 25K waiver. I get the appraisal and I look at it, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is this house that you're buying for that much money, right? It's just like complete trash, needs to be stripped down, redone. I mean, it's good bones, right? But like, I feel like, especially right now, like with the baby boomer market, right? And people kind of selling their parents' homes that are passing away or getting put in homes, like they haven't been touched in years. And those families are getting top dollar for selling it.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're seeing double-digit gains again. You got to step up. But like another thing is the affordability, dude. I mean, appreciation is up around 20% again. Like it's 19%. And, Zillow's, for whatever it's worth, they're estimating another 19% this year. I don't know if it's going to be that high, but I do see double-digit gains just because of the supply-demand issue. I mean, we're seeing houses going over so much that
Inflation
you can't get away from. It's not transitory, dude.
I'm just joking.
It's not transitory. I know, but initially this inflation was supposed to be transitory, but it hasn't been transitory.
It's okay.
Well, there's no limit to what they'll raise them to, they said.
The adults are back in charge, and that's what matters.
Who's back in charge?
The adults.
The adults are back in charge. Yeah, that's all that matters.
Said. That's what they said.
I do agree with you to a degree that I think that the scarcity or the lack of inventory is artificially driving the demand because everyone wants what they can't have, right?
Yeah.
So I do agree that if there were more homes for sale, this crazy demand would not be where it's at. People wouldn't be buying as many homes and paying this crazy prices that are absurd.
I think you're right. It's like they care less about what they're paying and more about winning the deal, right?
Exactly.
It's just like in a year of a lot of losses, right? If they can win a house, and then I guess we'll see where they're at in 2-3 years, right? If there's some type of correction, I mean, there could be a decent amount of people buried. I mean, the good thing is with the way that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac do it, I mean, you're bringing cash above and beyond whatever it appraises for, and a lot of these appraisals are starting to catch up to a degree, but for the most part, if you have a big waiver, it's often coming in a little low,
Yeah.
And I think people expect that, a low appraisal. It used to be like a killer, right? Oh, it came in 5K light. What? Let me see that thing, right? And now it's like, oh, it came in 15K light. All right, sweet.
Yeah.
We're only bringing 15 of our 30K waiver. Yep.
Yeah.
So crazy.
So I mean, Dylan, I know you've got clients putting in crazy offers as well. How many buyers do you have that you have like you must have a ton of buyers?
I've had more sellers recently, which is like getting a participation trophy a lot of times. So in the first quarter of the year, I had a bunch of bigger sales that went off, and I'm clicking off a few bigger ones. So this hasn't affected me as much until recent. I only have like maybe 3 or 4 buyers working pretty hard right now. And, we've lost a lot. But a lot of times my clients are somebody that's selling and then they have to buy, which is nice, rather than somebody that's just buying. Like the first time home buyers, I've got one group right now that they've just been getting their teeth kicked in, and I feel bad every time because they don't have the ability to get a 30K, 40K waiver. They're conventional. They can do a waiver, but it's just not enough. And every house they want to buy, so do 30 other people. So I feel really bad. And it's almost like you want to give them a disclaimer before going to see a house and say, hey, I know this is only listed for 300, but can you pay 350? Because if not, I don't want to drive an hour,
Right.
But
that's kind of where it's at.
Because I have to, right? It's eventually we'll get them something, but it's frustrating, and I don't want to tell people to waive their inspection and make their earnest money hard and donate to some charity of the seller's choice to get a deal, just because it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah,
but it is.
I think what I always tell someone, because, we console buyers too, like when I get really involved in giving them numbers, right? And what's the most you can do? What's the most you can come out with? I see your bank account. How much do you want to have in it afterwards? You got to buy furniture, and you're buying a house with ugly pastel carpet that you're going to have to replace because some old lady just passed away in there. So with that being said, right, like I always tell someone, like, hey, if that house was never built, would you still want to buy a house? Yeah. Okay. Well, there'll be another one, right? I mean, you have to think of it like in those terms that, like, for the most part, if something's not meant to be, you didn't make it happen.
Well, and right? What's also nice is like when your lender gets involved early on in the process, has a discussion with them and says, hey, you know what? This is just the state of the market right now. If your agent tells you to do this and you really want it, you should probably do it. And I think that the more you guys, because it's like, we're usually the face of the transaction and get a lot of the shit, I think, maybe. I'm sure you guys get your fair amount of negativeness from people as well.
I mean, yeah, we're all holding buckets of water. Whose is the heaviest, right?
Yeah.
I think that's typically the person who does the most work, right? So if you got a lender who's not contributing.
But yeah, if the more you guys give them just a discussion of what it's like, because I always try with new people, I try to have a home buyer consultation meeting. And I think that's really helpful. And I think that the better people in lending do that as well. And I think that's what sets people apart right now is education on what it's going to take. Because if you educate them properly enough up front, they might just decide, hey, I don't want to jump into this right now, or at least I know. And I think the people that don't, when you see somebody come in with an asking price offer right now on a great house, you're like, is the agent dumb? Is the buyer dumb? Who is it? Who is it that made this decision right here?
Well, and to that point, you're not going to not submit an offer. No, I want to go in at 300.
Yeah, okay. Great. I'm happy.
And they probably look at it and like,
yeah.
I mean, that's just.
I want to go in at 300 and ask for concessions.
Well, too. Sometimes someone, like, I'll be working with some first-time buyers and they send me 15 listings. Can you price out all of these at these different price points? And they're all below what the listing is. And I just tell them no.
Yeah.
Like I'll do one of them so you have an idea, but you need to talk to your agent and narrow this list down. If you're going to submit an offer on one, I'll put it all together. But I think a lot of people think we're calculators or door openers or whatever. And it's kind of like, sometimes you got to give people what they don't want to hear. And that's the hard part. Like, listen, dude, don't send me 30 homes to price out.
Yeah.
Send me one or two.
It's going to be around
ones you're really interested in, right? Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what's up. But yeah, it's a lot of work, I think, and it's easy to get burnt out because right now, like on the buy side, we're doing a lot of work and not getting paid for it, right? We're pre-approving people left and right. We're crunching offers. We're sending pre-approval letters. You're showing homes, calling all these agents, looking for backups, and none of it may come together. And then in the end, you might get a buyer who says, I'm gonna wait.
Done.
Right? When I started, rates were 2.875, and now they're 5.
Well, and at least gas is cheap when I'm driving these people all over the place.
Yeah, what do you got, a Raptor?
Yeah, right. I'm glad they didn't have a V8 model because and now I would be even more so the guy that's putting those special stickers on the gas pumps that say.
Well, and if you had a Tesla, you'd run out of range.
Are you one of those guys, Dylan? Do you have a whole pocket full of those stickers?
I did that stickers. It makes me so happy. I went into the other day and I was like, hey, how many of those do you pull off the pumps a day? And the guy goes, I don't pull off any of them. I think it's awesome. It's the liberals that are pulling them off of there. And I'm like, I can just see them sitting there scratching angrily.
That's hilarious.
One of the few things that truly brings me joy right now in life is just seeing those. I'm telling you, I drove probably 18,000 miles already this year. That's a lot of fill-ups. And I have not been to a gas station where there wasn't residue or one of those stickers on every single pump I've been to.
I know, man. Those little stickers are everywhere. It's funny. Hey, we got Roger Hanna just real quick asked, typically on a 2% higher on a $500,000 home for 30 years, how much would it cost from a normal 3%? So I think what he's asking is from where rates were at 3%.
Yeah. On a $500K loan,
it's $450 more, man. It's $500, almost $500 more. I did the math. That's crazy. A big difference.
That's a big difference.
You know what I mean?
That's
a really big difference for the same house.
It is, and I think that we have to realize, though, right, that the last 2 years weren't normal or real.
Right.
No.
You were able
they
to
were
buy
artificial.
It was real. It was real.
It was real to me.
It was really fake.
It was real.
How about this? It wasn't realistic. It wasn't realistic, right? I mean, you were able to buy at a 2.75 or I did some 2.375 30 years,
Yeah.
And it's like, man, your payment's $1,100 on a $350K loan, right?
Yeah.
Before tax and insurance. And it's like, yeah, man, you got real lucky. Because, like right now it's like, I'm building right now and I was pissed that I locked in a 3.375 because I couldn't do my own loan. I was like, man, this sucks. Guy can't give me a break. And now, I'm looking back, I'm like, damn, I mean, it really truly is like just all timing. People are sweating over 1/8 of a point, 1/4 point. And it's like, dude, your loan's not necessarily forever. You can always refi it. And if rates are 2% higher than what you locked in, are you going to be pissed you didn't get 0.125 from someone else? No. You're just going to be happy you got your loan done, right? So I think right now, like shopping is important. I mean, it always is important. I don't tell buyers not to shop rates, right? But what's more important is getting this done because, even a month ago, right, you'd lock in a 399, 3875. And if you didn't close or you didn't get that house because you're working with a realtor or a lender who might have a bad reputation, right? And that was the deciding factor on your offer. I mean, that sucks. Even if that lender was an 1/8 of a point off.
I have a question. On a jumbo loan, on a $6 million house, how much should you have to put down?
You're probably looking at 20 to 25% on those.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
there are a lot of lenders who do 5% or 10% down, right? 10% is a new 20% with no PMI on a jumbo.
I've got a guy that's, does all this stuff through Bank of America, and they told him that he had to put $3 million down to do a $6 million house. And I'm like, that sounds not correct. And then they said we have to do 2 appraisals as well. I'm like, I've seen that before on one property in South Lyon that I sold. And the buyer's like, yeah, we got to do this appraisal and we got to do the next one. I'm really, that sounds inaccurate, but this is the second time I heard it. So I was wondering if you guys have any experience. I mean, it's not like there's that many $6 million sales in Michigan, and a lot of times they're not financed. So I'm wondering if you've had anybody that you've had to put 50% down on a big loan.
Well, there's
never 50% down, but the 2 appraisals is definitely common in the jumbo space.
Pretty common.
Sure.
I mean, if I was financing a property like that, I'd want two appraisals, right? I mean, especially seeing how vastly different a $200,000 appraisal can come in.
Well, this was built for $17 million, so we're like.
Well, and to the point, if you're putting 50% down on it, right? It's kind of like, I mean, I'd want that lean, right? Especially for a guy who has to finance it. He's probably not saying anything bad, but it's like, all right, this is a little risky. Maybe we might fall into some equity here if something goes awry, especially if he's self-employed or whatever, right? But the reality is they don't really think like that. They're not hoping to have a foreclosure, but there's also max loan amounts that could come into play, right?
That's what I'm thinking it is it's
they're probably saying the biggest loan we'll do is $3 million, right?
That's what I think it is. And that's why it's been a problem because
so he should call some other banks, some big institutions. Like, big banks, especially on loans that size, they own it. Brokers like us, I mean, they're expanding the product portfolio, and we have some niche stuff for your $1.5 million buyer, right? 10% down, no PMI, 1 appraisal. But on a $6 million purchase, they're shelving that.
That's
right?
That's what you're gonna get.
They typically want, probably have assets at the bank or,
That's what we might end up doing is they want to own this guy and all of his assets just to do this deal. And it's like not going to happen probably if we can't get something that works. But
that's typically why the big banks have these jumbo products is because they want the asset portfolio. That's like their allure to get them in is move all your assets here with us, and then we'll be able to give you this great deal on a mortgage.
Right.
Have you guys done anything special with people with crypto holdings for getting them loans? Or
Besides making their life a nightmare to go through their statements.
I mean, we've done it. We've done it, but it is not pretty. They've got to
let me see your
liquidate.
Coinbase, right? And a billion transactions, money in, money out. It's a pain in the ass.
In the industry that's
but it's going to get easier. I mean, that stuff's going to become more and more common.
No, it's not.
I mean,
no, it's not. Think
crypto
easier, dude.
Using crypto assets
in mortgages. Look at our business, bro. We haven't evolved in 30 fucking years. You think we're going to get easier on crypto that's brand new? It's not going to happen for 50 years from now.
Like, well, it already has gotten easier. It went from not being able to use it at all.
It's nothing more from an underwriting standpoint. It's like a stock portfolio.
Yeah.
So it's just like looking at a stock portfolio. I mean, really what has been made really easy recently is like sometimes the hardest thing is sourcing assets as a loan officer, right? I mean, income's pretty straightforward, right? But like assets are typically the biggest pain in the ass. And so if I got a guy who's saying, hey man, I got like Robinhood, I got crypto, I've made a bunch of money. And I'm like, all right, I know that's what you plan to use for closing, but do you have a 401k? Yeah. Through GM or wherever you work for. Yeah. Okay. How much is in there? 100 grand. You're putting 20 grand down. Sweet. Just send me that. Right? Don't send me all your other shit, because essentially if your 401k is above a certain amount of what we need, right? So it's like 10 or 20%, like it makes it so much more simple.
I got a question.
Liquefied.
I'm currently doing, I own 2 Airbnbs with a partner. I'm cashing him out, but we're doing a land contract. But as far as, let's say I wanted to refi, I have a primary residence. It's a lake house. It's going to be an Airbnb. And then I'm going to have 2 others that are worth in total around $800,000. And if I wanted to do a refi to get this out of the land contract, would they take into account my, I have like 2 or 3 years of income from these properties. They make like 70 grand a door minimum, maybe closer to 100. Is that an easy thing to refi out of, or is it like a gigantic circle jerk?
It depends. It depends on how you show that income on your tax return, right? Yeah. So typically,
it also depends on how the land contract is put together.
The land contract better be done right. Just FYI, Dylan, make sure you do that land contract right.
So like your primary though. So let's say you want to refi your primary.
Yeah.
And then use the proceeds from that. Because I mean, I guess it's going to be an Airbnb anyways, right? So in my mind, while it is your primary and rates are lower, you would want to refi that, right? Take the lower interest rate than doing an investment.
2 properties at the same time into one loan?
You can, per se, but the lien will be on the one property. So let's say you have the equity in your primary to pay off both of those land contracts.
Yeah.
You could do that. Those will then be free and clear, right? You can't do a cash out on the land contract.
I don't want to do a cash out. I just want to refi the guy out of the land contract. And I have enough equity to have 80% loan to value.
But you can't, that's what I'm saying. You can't do that. So you can only refi the land contract for its current value. Then you can wait 6 months, then do a cash out.
Yeah, I don't want to do a cash out. I just want to own them and get this guy off of it.
Yeah, you can do that. It's pretty easy actually.
Right, but I'm saying that the cash above and beyond. So if it's a $200,000 house, let's say that they're 800, right? So 400,000, and you owe, let's say 150 on the land contract. Right?
Yeah.
So you want to get like a $250K loan to then cash them out and be done, right? You can only do the 150, then you have to wait 6 months, then you can do the additional 100. Because the title has to be title still in escrow, right? The warranty deed. So that warranty deed has to be recorded. Then you got to wait 6 months to do the cash out.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm going to do the land contract on this thing, and that, we'll see what happens there. Obviously, I don't want the rates to go up like they say it's going to. We're going to see 7 hikes, and
there's a lot of things going on though that I think really push rates this quickly to where they're at.
Yeah,
where all that I think is built in already. Personally, I think this war coming to an end potentially, right, might help bring rates or at least some stability to the market. And I think you'll probably see them creep back down to like the low 4s personally, and then slowly hike back up to where they're at now by the end of the year. But who am I?
I think
something that happened yesterday is the yield curve on the 2-year and the 10-year. I don't want to get too technical. It inverted, which has always been a leading indicator for recessions. It really has been for whenever the yield curve inverts, there's a recession that follows thereafter. We've got geopolitical issues. There's just so many issues that could affect the housing market, but it doesn't seem to be making a dent because of the supply demand issue. Dylan, do you see any of these issues maybe impeding housing market crash, anything like that? Do you see anything that
I don't
cracks in anything?
Because we have super awesome, amazing inflation. I don't think that the housing is going to come down. I don't think it's going to be there. I think stocks will come down and equities. And that's when I'm going to get all excited again, because I made over 1,000% investing in 2020. And I'd just be salivating to watch everything go down again and then buy triple levered ETFs and just ride the elevator up again. But I don't think that we're going to have any type of big, correction if we keep having this type of inflation.
Yeah, the inflation.
I think there's too many people with money and too little homes for sale.
Yep, and
which are all under good loans that people.
Well, like BlackRock and these big groups and investors are buying up a lot of the properties. Like, Airbnb hasn't gone so mainstream yet, but there's a lot of people getting interested in it. And I mean, I talk to probably a person a week that's interested in Airbnb because, first of all, I don't like paying taxes, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for that. I would be doing cost segregation studies now while you can before they get rid of that. But when I get these 2 lake houses and I get my names on the deeds, I can do cost segregation studies, advanced depreciation, and probably not pay taxes for 2 years just off of buying these properties. So whatever rate or whatever, I have to do to get them while I can still do the cost seg, it's insane. So, and I don't want to buy any more Black Hawk helicopters for the Taliban. So I need to make sure that my money goes back to me.
Yeah. One thing about it, though, is these higher interest rates, they kind of cut into the profit margins of these Airbnbs a little bit, don't you think?
But I'm getting 20 to 25% returns right now.
So a 5% rate or a 6% rate doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing is, and because right now I have a partner on it, so we're splitting the profits. But if I have him off of it, and I'll pay a little bit more in payment and at a higher value. But the tax advantage, because I'm not getting any of the tax advantages now because I'm not on the deed. I'm just getting income, which I don't want any. I mean, income is great, right? But it doesn't help me out a ton because I just give it to Sleepy Creepy.
I think that's a good point. I mean, one thing I always think about, right, because there's so many people who want to do Airbnbs, right? And there's not as many people who actually do it. It's like anything else. I want to be a realtor. I want to be a
for sure.
flipper. I want to do this, right? That's what I always hear. I want to buy an Airbnb, right? I mean, it is, I think, a lot of work, right?
It's if you have really good cleaning people and you have a good guidebook set up, it's not that much work. And if you buy property, like I have lake houses, like you don't want to have a ton of landscaping because landscaping can eat up a lot of profits just maintaining it, right? You don't want to have extra bathrooms, Like if you have a 6-bedroom house with 6 bathrooms, sure, that's great for the amount of people that can fit in there. But I would much rather have small, if you could have condos in Detroit near Corktown that are Airbnb friendly and you don't have to worry about the outside and all you have to do is, change the sheets and put water bottles in the fridge and make sure the dishes are done. That's ideal for me. But there's people that do mega Airbnbs that are making $80,000, $100,000 a month.
$2-3 million Torch Lake.
Yeah, it's real work then. I just can't dedicate that much time to it.
What I'm thinking is though, right? Like everyone wants to be a flipper or everyone wants to do this. And it's like there comes a point potentially in the market where hey, it's too late. The margins aren't there, right?
I tell everybody, do not flip houses. I understand that's a great way to make a quick buck, but it's you should be doing or buy, repair, rent.
Maybe in a different market, right? But
with rents so high right now, rents are high. Rents
what do you
are going
think
up.
A crack is though in the Airbnb market? I guess is what I would be asking, right? Is there to me, if you're making those type of margins, but if you pay an extra $200,000 for the house, okay, you own it 3 more years and you're even. Right.
Yeah, but exactly. That's the thing. You can overpay for you can overpay for an Airbnb or as long as you're knowing what you can do. My business partner bought 20-ish Airbnbs in Naples, Florida during the lockdown of 2020 at an average price per square foot of $259. They're going for $1,100 a foot now, all of his properties.
Yeah.
And he's never had them empty, not for one day. They've been fully booked, just about fully booked, all of them.
Do you think any regulation, or let's just say something really bad happened at Airbnb, right? They find out the CEO is a pedophile or something, the thing gets shut down, right? Like
we'll go to
VRBO, right? So like, I guess like that's
you
the
got
thing,
backups.
right?
There's backups.
There's backups, but there's like one, like it's a lot to put out because you're essentially relying on that. It's like relying on eBay, right?
Yeah, it would be, that's just, I have a friend that has 200 cars on Turo in San Francisco. And if those platforms go away, his entire business is over.
Right.
And so, yeah, it is not great. You could always try to build your own platform. But, I'm certainly not going to do that. Although
I guess it'd be time to offload them. But yeah, I mean, I think about that. Like there are a lot of businesses that are completely hinged on one thing, right?
Well, and I think Airbnb is probably one of the most undervalued stocks on the entire stock market right now. And I'm not buying any, but the reason why I say that is because the potential customer of that entire group is every single house in the United States. And not that I think that's going to get there, but if you look at how little the adoption has been and how much could be, you hear it. Everybody's talking about setting up an Airbnb. There's a lot of people doing it, and so I think it's the next company to breach $1 trillion market cap. It's probably a $2 to $3 trillion company when you have the types of returns that their name on that many properties. And and
in a world of dying hotels, right? Think of the advantage it could be for like a BlackRock or something like that to come in, scoop up some hotel chains and rebrand them as Airbnbs, right?
And I think the hotel chains will start buying. Like if you get a portfolio of 5 to 10 really good properties in a great market, hotel chains are going to come in there and make you a cash offer to buy you out, and they're just going to just stop themselves from competing against themselves. They're going to own both. So once you have you're going to have like a really good business, but you can have that really sellable business with 5 or 10 of these things. It's just like self-storage, right? And any other thing, but experienced hospitality people could go in there. They already have the maintenance people. They already have the cleaners, and they can go in there and take these things over overnight. Apply some Ritz-Carlton magic to it, and but yeah, I'm sure. And BlackRock, companies like that will be doing this for sure, buying guys like me out eventually.
Yeah, I mean, BlackRock's coming in. I mean, they're only 7% of the market right now, but you never know what's going to happen. I mean, these big conglomerates are going to start doing more stuff.
Only 7, though, if you think about those numbers. I mean, that's huge.
That?
I said only 7. You said, but I mean that's big.
It's big. Yeah. I don't want to poo-poo the size of 7%.
Huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It is a huge number. Yeah, but they're at 7% of the market where investors are coming in and buying up, whether it's Zillow or BlackRock or whoever it may be. So, Dylan, on the list side, how hard is it to list that? What's that?
What was that?
Is someone messaging you making fun of us?
No. Somebody said Blackhawk helicopters for the Taliban. LOL, that cut deep. Very true. That made me smile a little bit.
Not all views are the views of the show, just so everybody knows. It's Dylan. Dylan always is outspoken with his views.
I have too much fun with it. No, it's a hobby of mine.
Just needling people?
Yeah, I'd enjoy it. It is. All I've done is become more busy as I've been more vocal.
Yeah,
and
that seems to be the case.
Well, listen, I think if you put yourself out there, you might shy some people away, but you'll probably have stronger connections with others, right?
I get 200 DMs a week of people that are like, "Oh my God, this is hilarious. Keep going."
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. If you guys aren't following Dylan on social, you should really do it. It's a manic.
I go for
pace.
Entertainment. Yeah.
Full entertainment.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Full entertainment. I was going to ask you, man, listing a house right now, obviously you're dealing with multiple offers. You got to kind of wade through all that. How does one set themselves apart right now listing a house? I mean, if they're moving so quickly, you don't even have time to market it sometimes.
Fortunately, a lot of the stuff that I've worked on this year has been over $1 million, over $2 million on the list side. And those don't always go as quickly. So, you guys know that I've always done a pretty good job of setting myself apart on marketing. And that's been, my specialty. And I keep getting a lot of these, I got one in Oakland Township yesterday for $3 million. It's coming up. I've got one, in Fenton for, 1.2. I keep getting a lot of these projects, so it's been nice. But yeah, everything in the lower price points has been selling. Like it is a strategy. I think even though a lot of agents hate on coming soon, as a listing agent, I would do a coming soon, Wednesday, Thursday, build the hype, showing start Friday, I'll go through an open house Sunday, and then pick one of your 10 offers on Monday. And I think that's like the perfect strategy right now if you have a good house. And if you can't get an offer doing that exact strategy, your house is priced too high.
It's priced too high. That's
yeah. And so that's like my go-to. For luxury homes, we do like a little bit of different stuff, but but I think the coming soon is great, and then obviously the exposure that you can get on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. One of my friends just went to a broker's tour, filmed a crappy video on TikTok. It went viral, and he got a buyer for like a $10 million house off of it. So I think all these agents are afraid to do those types of things, afraid to get on the camera or make any content. And I keep, because I manage our Sotheby's office in Northville, and I have the same meeting all the time telling people what I would do and what I do to get business if I get in a slump. And it's like the people are so afraid to like post on Instagram, and they don't even do the free stuff sometimes, like get reviews on Zillow. Like I have people that have sold 500 homes that have less than 5 reviews on Zillow. Well, the referral that I got yesterday for Fenton for 1.2 million, the guy found me online. I was referred to, by my friend Tori Sheffer, who you guys have talked to before. But that person went and immediately looked me up online and read all my reviews, watched it. If you're a secret agent out there, like it's probably time to quit at this point. You just need to figure something else out, because you can't just sit there and hide and expect to just get referrals.
Well,
no, you cannot. You can't hide it, for sure.
I think there's a lot of, like you said, secret agents, right? But they're like ingrained or long time in their community, but they got a target on their back and a fuse in their business, right? That got lit with, Instagram and whatnot. At some point, they're going to blow up.
Well,
right?
My friend
or someone's going to take them over.
One agent that plays on my hockey team, he works at Sotheby's with me. He's like in a little bit of a sales slump. He goes and has a meeting with me at the beginning of the year. He's like, I'm sending out hand-signed cards. I'm doing mailers. I'm doing this. And he's doing all the right stuff, and it's just not working. And I'm like, why don't you just go do an open house this weekend? Take my listing in Brighton I just put up. He goes there, gets a $1.9 million listing appointment because the person said, I was looking for a Sotheby's agent because it's a luxury house and it's in an unfamiliar area. And that cost him $0, doing an open house on the weekend. So, there's a lot of basic stuff that people forget about doing that can give you, listings and buyers this whole business is about having conversations with people. So whatever gives you the conversations with the most qualified and engaged people is what you should be doing, rather than chasing the shiny new thing as well. But, you got to give it, cast a wide net out there as well, and try what works, and then double down on what keeps working.
Yeah, I think different things work for different people too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily see, some super successful agents in the luxury market doing what you do. They probably wouldn't be able to do it, right? They have their different. They're not going to ride a jet ski in there and do a video.
But they will do a video. All the people who are professional are doing a video. Yeah, there's no, unicycles.
But that's your brand, right?
Yeah, that's just fun for
and
me.
that works for you.
Yeah,
right. And then there's some people who are kind of boring, and people look for that like super, super conservative person for whatever reason.
Yeah, serious.
For their trust, right? So I think whatever works, like you said, you just keep doing it, right?
Yeah, well, one of the most successful, we have like at my office in Birmingham, the other office, we have like two opposite ends of the spectrum. One guy spends a fortune on advertising, does a really good job with it. I mean, he's probably got a multiple six-figure a year advertising budget and does a really good job with it, does a ton of business. And then his direct competitor, they do an open house a weekend. They go to a Wednesday Bible study. They do a quarterly past client event. They're nothing special on social media, and they do about the same numbers. So it all can work for sure. I just went and said, hey, listen, let's see how much attention we can get, because that seems to never fail.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. So let's get into 3 questions, Dylon. We're gonna get into 3 questions and then get you off the show so we can get you back to work.
Sounds good.
I called Dylan Dylon, just so everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know if he likes it or not, but I do it anyway.
An old Chappelle show.
So, Dylan, if you had to eat, I don't know if we've given you this question before, but if you had to eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Wow. Gosh. And I have to pick one food?
I would say it'd be one food you have to eat once per day. Not just like the only thing, but you have to eat this meal once a day.
I mean, chicken would be pretty, you can make chicken a million different ways, it's pretty, because if it's chicken, it can be prepared like Chinese. It can be prepared like an Italian dish. So I'm going to go with chicken.
Chicken's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's like saying meat. Like
that's a bullshit statement. It's like saying beef, man. No, you got to pick a dish.
I'll choose salt. I can put salt on pretty much
salt.
Okay, fine. Some type of chicken pasta.
Okay.
Fettuccine Alfredo. You could probably.
There you go. Chicken fettuccine Alfredo.
You get cheese. You get protein. You get some stuff. By the way, sleeper restaurant you guys should give a try. Cello in Howell. If you've never been,
I've heard it's good.
Yeah, it's worth driving to. It's not expensive. It's like private, like close, tight, really good, authentic.
And, I think they have one in Royal Oak.
They have Pinky's Rooftop.
They're the same owner. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know. My fiance lives out in Howell, so I go there a lot. It's a good spot.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. Guys, you guys have any questions?
If you had to be, because I think you'd like this question because it seems to suit you, but like what if you had to be if you could be a fly on the wall of one event in history, what would that be?
One event in history. Wow.
Like be in the room during Watergate.
Yeah, right. That's kind of where I was
over
going.
D-Day, like something like that,
Yeah, right. That's kind of where I was going. There's so many interesting things. I obviously get pretty interested in conspiracy theories that I think are, I think that, it would be very interesting to be seeing what's really going on with some of the 9/11 stuff that I've been interested in, for just for a quick example, not to go too crazy, but I'm a pilot, I look at airplane crashes, helicopter crashes, and, Flight 93, supposed to crash in a field. There's no fuselage, there's no tail section, there's no seats, there's no engines, there's no bodies. There's just kind of like a crappy little hole in the ground. The coroner said he's never seen a crash with no body. I've looked at hundreds of crashes of aircrafts, and I think there's a lot of fishy things that went on there. The Pentagon was supposedly hit by a plane, but there's no wings, there's no tail section, there's no fuselage, there's no engine. And the most secure building with 483 cameras pointing at it all missed that impact there. So also interesting. So, I think I would like to know, be around some room where they were discussing what really went on there, or around the Kennedy assassination, because you're not going to get shot in the back of your head and have your head go that way.
I thought you were going to say you want to be a fly on the plane. I was going to say that wouldn't be that great, but yeah.
So those would be things that I always think those are interesting questions to ask, because people get banned for asking questions, and anytime somebody's banned from having a thought, you got to ask why.
Well, I think when anything happens that shakes people up, right? Even this Will Smith thing, right? You go on Twitter, staged. It was staged.
I don't think
staged. No, I don't think it was.
I don't
staged
think it was
either,
staged.
But
He
got
slapped, bro.
People think though, right? Like I truly hope there was no foul play in what happened at 9/11. It's terrible, right? So I hope there was no intentional U.S. foul play, but if there was, it would be interesting to know. it'd sure make me feel a lot different about everything.
Here's the last thing. There's a video. You go search Donald Rumsfeld missing trillions. 9/11 or 9/10/2001. Donald Rumsfeld does a press conference and says, "Hey, we've misplaced $2 trillion." And then the next day, the accounting department that was doing the audit is what got hit, and nobody really died at the Pentagon. So pretty interesting to say, oh, we're missing $2 trillion. And then the next day, that's the part of the Pentagon that gets hit, and there's no footage of it. And then there's no pieces. And again, if you want to think I'm crazy, go look at any large airplane crash ever, and then compare it to the footage and the photos of those two events and say, why are there no pieces? And then you can go from there down 150 other rabbit holes and theories that will also start to sound crazy. But
I watched Loose Change, bro. I know.
Yeah,
I watched that.
Larry Silverstein, buys the World Trade Centers a couple days before, and then a couple months.
Boom.
I think our computers are tapped now.
Yeah, I'm on every list.
You're on every list.
Yeah.
Last question for you, man. We'll get you going. If you could make one policy change in the government, what would it be? Just one.
I think it would be really interesting for people to see really transparently how the tax dollars are spent. We've had let's say a 16% increase in population in the last 20 years, but a 350% increase in spending. I think that it'd be really nice to eliminate every single bit of foreign aid, because nobody is sending our country billions and trillions in dollars. We've got to send this to Ukraine. It's like, I could give truthfully, I feel bad for the people in Ukraine, but I feel like, why are we sending these guys billions of dollars? It's not helping the people here. So get rid of foreign aid and be transparent with what the spending is.
I think our foreign relations are kind of like the U.S. is like the mafia. I think we get discounts on a lot of shit.
Oh yeah, well, I think it's all it's money laundering for the.
In return, we protect them.
Whoever's writing these bills is basically getting kickbacks on. It's basically money laundering tax dollars back to people that have secured, spots in Congress and defense contracting and things like that. It's so obvious, and people are just so, obsessed with celebrities, and they don't they've just been trained to be obedient taxpayers their whole lives. And so I watch these people just kind of breeze through life and go, well, I can't really do anything about it. It's like, well, you don't realize there's more firearms in this country than there are people, like 7 to 1. And if everybody decided, hey, you know what, we're getting ripped off, it could take one afternoon and we could just go end it and start over, hit the reset button here with politics. And but people are too afraid, to do anything about it. You watched people get their kids abused for 2 years and suffocated by our fearless leader, Gretchen Whitmer. And it's like, there would have been a 0% chance I'm going to let you suffocate my kids 8 hours a day for something that doesn't affect kids at all. But, again, right. Those are my thoughts.
Right. I love it. I just needed to get that out there for you. There you go.
Well, I thought you were going to give him a layup, what's your favorite color? If you could change,
we could ask
Dylan 10 if he could change anything in the government.
Are you going to have today?
No, I gave that. It is a layup for Dylan, dude. Dylan was all over. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, there's.
You know what I mean? So, Dylan, man, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you, bro.
You can find me, Helly Realtor, on Instagram. I do a lot of for free agent consulting if you're stuck. Not that this isn't a recruiting thing, but if you want to grow your luxury real estate business, I do think we have the best package to offer a seller, and it does not go unnoticed. People find me all the time because I work at Sotheby's to sell luxury homes, and it's been a testament that every year since I started at 23 years old, I've sold multiple 7-figure homes, and this was my first job. And the consumer really does start to care about your marketing as you get to a certain point. So if you were ever sitting there thinking, I'd love to grow a luxury real estate business and start getting more involved in that. Like my friend that did the open house for me last week, he's never sold something over $600,000. He's got a $1.9 million listing appointment from doing one open house from one buyer looking for a Sotheby's agent. And it's something that's fun. So if you were thinking about that and you wanted to grow in that area, we can do a lot to help.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dylan. I love it.
You're welcome. Maybe we'll figure out what our fun topics are for the next one. November 4th, November 4th, 2020 was our two times ago I was on here.
Which was by chance, by the way. That was
not by chance, and that was I think you've seen me at my most angry of my whole life.
Yeah, it was the day after the election, dude. It was not good.
Oh, God.
All right, Dylan, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.
I love Dylan. Dylan's a good guy. I got to run, boys. So for those of you that have stayed for the show, thank you for listening. We appreciate you. For those of you that just found us for the first time, thank you for hopefully you enjoyed the show. Reach us at Facebook.com/IRE podcast. You can go to any podcast app and download us there. Or if you want to see us live, you can go to YouTube and Facebook. So thank you very much. Until next week, we shall see you. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast. Don't forget to follow us at irepodcast.com and everywhere where podcasts are available.